We conclude that in the field of public education, the doctrine of separate but equal has no place. Separate educational facilities are inherently unequal. So stated the United States Supreme Court, May 17, 1954, in the historic case Brown versus the Board of Education. Ironically, knowledge of Brown eludes those whom it affects most.
When did this all happen? I thought it was just recent.
The history courses here usually don't get past World War II.
All I said was that I'd like to know who Brown was. I already knew about the Board of Education.
I think that it's about some girl that tried to go to another school or something.
The Brown decision was the result of Reverend Oliver Brown's futile attempt to enroll his 7-year-old daughter, Linda, in the all-white school near their home in Topeka, Kansas. In Dallas, the first desegregation suit was filed in 1955. This same suit has continued through today. Only the names of the litigants have changed. The suit was filed in U.S. District Court, but the presiding judge, William Atwell, dismissed it as premature. On appeal to the U.S. Fifth Circuit, Atwell was reversed and ordered to hear the case. He did hear the case in 1956, but ruled that the Supreme Court had overstepped its bounds. In the summer of 1957, he was overruled again and ordered to implement desegregation in Dallas with all deliberate speed. Judge Atwell then ordered the Dallas School District to completely desegregate by the end of 1957. Reversing Atwell yet again, the Fifth Circuit ruled that he required a reasonable plan. Judge Atwell then ordered the school district to desegregate with all deliberate speed. In 1959, after a year with no action from the Dallas School District, the suit was refiled, requesting that Judge Atwell order the district to formulate a plan. Atwell refused, and the case was appealed. Atwell retired in 1958. The Fifth Circuit overruled Atwell and ordered his successor, T. Whitfield Davidson, to request a plan from the district. The DISD then submitted the stair-step plan, providing for desegregation 1 grade each year. Davidson refused the plan and ordered the district to submit a plan of his design, in which there would be 3 types of schools: black, white, and a third for those who desired an integrated education. The Fifth Circuit overruled Davidson and ordered the stair-step plan implemented. The Dallas School District finally began to desegregate in the late 1960s. But this desegregation did not have the desired effect of abolishing the dual system in Dallas. It was impeded by school boundaries, gerrymandered in previous years in attempts to maintain one-race schools. It was further impeded by resegregated neighborhoods, as white flight abandoned entire sections of Dallas to the minority races in a desperate attempt to maintain one-race schools. In 1970, the continuing suit was refiled in district court, Judge William McTaylor presiding, after Judge Davidson's retirement.
There was a hearing by the court and evidence presented in July as to whether or not the Dallas Independent School District was in compliance. That is, whether or not it was operating a dual school system.
Judge Taylor upheld the plaintiff's claim and ordered the school district to file a new plan for a unitary school system.
The school district, in its plan, filed with the court, had come up with its confluence of cultures, and the court implemented parts of that plan, which provided for quality education, compensatory education, the guaranteed grade level performance, and provided for the pairing of schools in Oak Cliff. Now, after looking at it and seeing how it would actually operate, it became obvious that you would have kids going to 5 different schools in 6 years, which, and it dawned upon me that this was not educationally sound. So, on my own motion, I stayed that part.
The plan also proposed that the elementary schools be desegregated by a $10 million television plan.
Was the plan whereby the elementary schools would be integrated through the use of television.
Very simply, we could describe it as a form of team teaching, which we have moved to in some areas already in Dallas, and we know that team teaching is effective. By teaming, this would involve teachers perhaps in a cluster of 2 or 3 schools, depending upon how the final organization or configuration would be developed. There would be a lead teacher designated who would be responsible for the preparation of a unit of study. The television would be a means of contact for this teacher and other teachers and students in their respective classes, not only video but audio.
It's part-time integration, and people in the community call it either a joke or laughed about it and just don't take it very seriously.
There is actual physical contact planned between students. This would involve the same students who would be seeing each other via television, having the opportunity for such visits as field trips planned together. It could be a lunchtime visit, might have a buddy system or something like this worked out. I saw you on television, now I'm getting to see you personally, you know.
That's still part-time integration. That's still not enough time for children to get to know each other, to be able to socialize, to be able to interact, to be able to know and understand their cultures.
It would allow the neighborhood concept to remain in effect, which our Board of Education and the administration, of course, have been dedicated to through the years.
When the case was appealed to the Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit, that court stayed the implementation of the television plan.
Another controversial provision was the creation of a triethnic committee. A group of 5 browns, 5 blacks, and 5 whites was authorized by Judge Taylor to make recommendations to the school board and also to advise the court on the progress and problems of desegregation.
I felt, and I think other members of the board at that time felt, that we were going to have many problems here because we foresaw what I think I termed it one time as being a super school board and a federal superintendent if they were not controlled.
Other people in the community who were suspicious of the triethnic committee to begin with picked that up. And, you know, we were charged, we were labeled, you know, as a super school board. And it did make it very difficult for us to function.
Some of the real problems, of course, number one was that they were not really given guidelines as which they were to follow, and they did not know what format they would operate by in carrying out the order of the judge.
We had no authority to change anything. Our only authority was power, if you want to say we had any, was that of just simply reporting to the judge.
The committee was formed rather hurriedly without probably the guidelines that it should have. And if I personally had been picking the committee, I probably would have eliminated 4 to 5 individuals off of that committee because with their reputation and activities and involvement in schools, I don't think their intention ever was to peacefully help us to carry out an order.
The Triethnic Committee was under orders of the court to be concerned with the minority to majority transfer rule, which was something new within itself because it provided for a 4-day school week for the students or pupils who chose to go to another school under the minority to majority transfer rule.
647 blacks transferred voluntarily in 71 and 446 in 1973. 21 whites transferred that first year, and 6 volunteer in 1973. 38 Mexican Americans transferred in 71. Today, 34 transfer. Hardly an impressive record for Judge Taylor's optimism.
I regret to say that that one hasn't worked out too well. It hasn't worked as well as it has actually in Houston.
The student assignment plan, on the other hand, did not rely on volunteers.
I said that, oh, I bet when we get over there, they probably won't let us, be in anything. You have to do this and do that, and probably a lot of fighting. But once I got over here, it was all right.
I didn't really want to come, just because I didn't know anyone over here.
Students were assigned to schools in a clear attempt to reflect the racial composition of the system. but a simple look at the figures reveals the ineffectiveness of the assignment plan. In 1970, 180 white students were assigned to predominantly black Roosevelt High. Today, 19 attend. Of 275 assigned to Lincoln High, 5 currently attend. 250 assigned to Story Junior High, 33 attend. Certainly, white flight from the boundaries of these schools is responsible in part for the dwindling figures. But whatever the cause, the effect is the same. Predominantly white and predominantly black schools. A dual system. Despite honorable intentions, the burden of desegregation has been borne by the minority students. Over 6,000 are being bused to predominantly white schools, and in return, only 57 whites are bused to minority schools. Black students assigned to predominantly white schools have had an extremely high rate of suspensions. Mark was one of those suspended.
They just not start now. For black and white have a fight, they might just suspend them for 3 days. For 3 days, both of them. But sometimes they'll just suspend the black, because they'll say that the black started. So get him.
Testifying during a lawsuit in which the district's suspension procedures were being challenged, Superintendent Nolan Estes admitted that there existed institutional racism in the Dallas school system. Although the desegregation plan of '71 has not been totally effective, some aspects are promising. Quoting the Confluence of Cultures plan, with the dispersal of minority group children, it is necessary to intensify our efforts of enrichment to assist these students during this period of transition. Bussed in from West Dallas, Michael Williams is a senior at W.T. White High School. At a banquet this spring, he was cited as All-City, a fitting end to his successful football career. But there is another Michael, the Michael who met defeat in the classroom.
All right, it's 2 words.
I know.
As a senior, he now has the reading skills of a second grader. Because of the 1971 desegregation plan, he is finally receiving the intensive reading program he needed in his West Dallas grammar school 12 years ago.
In 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade, where reading is stressed, the instruction obviously went far too fast for them. And the class may have been the size that did not encourage or lend itself to individual instruction.
Spanish-speaking children, long struggling in English-oriented curriculum, taught by English-speaking teachers, are now learning in bilingual programs, guided by bilingual teachers. There have been efforts to integrate the faculties of the Dallas school system so that all students are exposed to teachers of all races and ethnic groups. One of the most potentially effective tools for desegregation has unfortunately become the most controversial: busing. One local paper began an editorial with, "The Supreme Court has ruled, let the buses roll." Yet in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg decision of 1971, the Supreme Court simply reaffirmed the constitutionality of school authorities dismantling the dual systems, and then merely upheld busing as an acceptable tool in that dismantling. In essence, school districts that had not found ways to correct their dual systems in 17 years obviously needed guidelines in implementing that process. Despite cries for neighborhood schools and other honest concerns, anti-busing seems to be the segregationist political football of the 70s. Linda Brown is now 30 years old. The 20th anniversary of the Brown decision has passed, and yet the mandate for desegregation remains unfinished business. There is still the sound of only one hand clapping.
Since 1971, I think the climate in the community has changed quite a bit because then you heard all the students saying that I'm going to have to go to private school because my parents don't want me to be in school with the students that are being bused in. But now I think the community is trying to, get together with the West Dallas community as far as the students that are bused here and get to know them more. And, through the busing, I think that they found out that, they're just people.